Here's a version of your cram guide in a more natural, lecture-style format. It flows more like a professor explaining the material rather than just listing facts. This should work well for a text-to-speech tool, or if you just want a more engaging study experience. Art History Survey 2, Exam Lecture. Alright, let's dive into the key topics for your exam. We'll go over important artworks, key terms, and historical concepts in a way that makes them easier to remember. Slide identifications. Let's start with the artworks you need to know. 1. Quipu, Inca, 1450 to 1532. Imagine a system of record-keeping without writing. This was the Quipu. The Inca used knotted cords to store information like taxes or census data. Think of it like an ancient spreadsheet but made of string. 2. Calendar stone, Aztec, early 1500s. You might know this as the Aztec sunstone. It's not actually a calendar, but it does represent the Aztec view of time, their gods, and their cosmic cycles. A massive circular stone with intricate carvings of deities and symbols, it's one of the most recognizable Mesoamerican artifacts. Number 3. Double portrait of Giovanni Arnolfini and his wife, Jan van Eyck, 1434, Northern Renaissance. A masterpiece packed with symbolism, Van Eyck's painting showcases wealth, marriage, and even a little mystery. The convex mirror in the back reflects hidden figures, and every object in the scene has meaning, from the dog, loyalty, to the oranges, wealth. Coatlicue, Aztec, 15th, early 16th century, a terrifying stone sculpture of the Aztec earth goddess. She's made of snakes, has skulls hanging from her neck, and represents both creation and destruction. The Aztecs didn't shy away from intense imagery. 5. Tribute money, Masaccio, c. 1424 Italian Renaissance. This fresco is one of the first great examples of linear perspective in painting. It tells a biblical story about paying taxes, with Jesus and his disciples interacting in a realistic three-dimensional space. Notice how the mountains in the background get hazy? That's atmospheric perspective in action. 6. Portinari altarpiece, Hugo van der Goes, c. 1474 to 76, Northern Renaissance. An intense and emotional depiction of the adoration of the shepherds, with incredibly realistic figures and expressive faces. Unlike the calm symmetry of Italian works, this piece feels deeply human. David Donatello, c. 1446 to 1460, Italian Renaissance. The first freestanding nude bronze since antiquity. It's a young, almost delicate David, very different from Michelangelo's later, more muscular take. This one symbolizes Florence's strength against larger enemies. 8. Dome of Florence Cathedral, Filippo Brunelleschi, 1420 to 1436, Italian Renaissance. An architectural marvel. No one knew how to build a dome this big without it collapsing, but Brunelleschi solved it with a brilliant double-shell design and interlocking bricks. 9. Christ giving the keys to St. Peter, Perugino, 1480 to 82, Italian Renaissance. A fresco symbolizing the Pope's authority. It uses perfect perspective, with a vanishing point that draws your eyes to the central figures. 10. Gates of Paradise, Lorenzo Ghiberti, 1425 to 52, Italian Renaissance. Intricate, gilded bronze doors for the Florence baptistery. The relief panels use depth and perspective to make biblical stories feel alive. 11. Annunciation Triptych, Merod altarpiece, workshop of Robert Campi. 1427 to 32, Northern Renaissance. A small, detailed oil painting of the Annunciation. Notice how it takes place in a domestic interior. Northern Renaissance artists loved adding everyday objects with hidden symbolism. 12. Birth of Venus, Sandro Botticelli, c. 1484 to 86, Italian Renaissance. A graceful, flowing image of Venus emerging from the sea, inspired by classical sculpture. It's one of the most famous mythological paintings of the Renaissance. 13. The Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci, 1495-98, Italian High Renaissance. A masterpiece of composition and psychology. Each disciple reacts to Jesus' announcement of betrayal, creating a dynamic, dramatic scene. Unfortunately, Leonardo experimented with fresco techniques, and the painting started deteriorating almost immediately. Key terms and concepts. Now, let's cover the big ideas you need to understand. Hierarchical scale, a simple way to show importance. Bigger figures mean higher status. You'll see this a lot in medieval and non-Western art. The Renaissance, a rebirth of classical antiquity focused on humanism, naturalism, and perspective. Italian versus Northern Renaissance. Italy loved classical themes, anatomy and perspective. The North focused on meticulous detail, oil paint and texture. City-states, Florence, Venice and Milan were the hotspots of art and innovation. Artists as intellectuals. The Renaissance raised artists from craftsmen to celebrated geniuses. Think Leonardo, Michelangelo and Raphael. The Medici family, the most powerful art patrons in Florence, funding major artists. Contrapposto, that natural pose where weight shifts onto one leg, makes sculptures feel more lifelike. Perspective techniques. Linear perspective. Brunelleschi uses vanishing points and orthogonals to create depth. Intuitive perspective, an attempt at depth without strict rules. Other 3D techniques: overlapping, foreshortening, modeling, shadows, atmospheric perspective. Tempera, egg-based paint, dries fast, used for panel paintings. Oil paint, a game-changer in the North, slow drying allows for incredible detail. Fresco, pigment applied to wet plaster, seen in The Last Supper and Tribute Money. Trompe-l'œil, a painting trick that fools the eye into seeing 3 dimensions. Di sotto in su, perspective from below, used for dramatic ceiling frescoes. Mesoamerican civilizations. Aztecs, central Mexico. Templo Mayor, the heart of their capital. Tenochtitlan. Human sacrifice, a vital ritual often depicted in art. Coatlicue and calendar stone. Powerful mythological symbols. Inca, Andes Mountain, textiles, the most valued form of Incan art, used for both record-keeping and status, tocapu tunics. High Renaissance masters. Leonardo da Vinci, master of anatomy, perspective and sfumato, smoky shading. Michelangelo, sculptor of David, painter of the Sistine Chapel. Raphael, famous for the School of Athens, known for harmony and balance. The Last Supper and Mona Lisa. The Last Supper, revolutionary composition and perspective, expressive reactions of the disciples, experimental technique led to its rapid decay. Mona Lisa, famous for her subtle, enigmatic expression, uses sfumato to create soft, natural transitions.